A new Muslim autonomous region seen to end long-drawn conflicts in Mindanao. But first, a plebiscite. I'm Ruth Cabal. This is On the Record. The Bangsamoro Organic Law is a product of years of peace negotiations between the government and the country's largest Muslim rebel group, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. David Santos gives us a preview on how this new political entity will look like.
The Bangsamoro Autonomous Region aims to succeed where the almost three-decade-old autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao has failed. But like the ARMM, the Bangsamoro government will also be an experiment. For the first time in our country's history, this restyled regional entity will take a parliamentary democratic form of government. Constituents will elect 80 members to the Bangsamoro Parliament, half of which will be party representatives. The rest will come from the different districts, as well as from sectors like women and indigenous peoples. Among the 80, they will select a chief minister who will head the parliament. But first, a plebiscite will be held to determine the Bangsamoro territory. Provinces and cities in the current ARMM will vote if they agree to join the new autonomous government. Their votes will be counted as region and not as individual areas. Also voting in the referendum are the cities of Cotabato and Isabela in Basilan, as well as 6 towns in Lanao del Norte and 39 barangays in North Cotabato. But Lanao del Norte and North Cotabato as provinces will also have to vote if they are willing to let go of their towns and barangays to join the Bangsamoro. There's a provision that allows other areas in Mindanao that want to join the Bangsamoro government to file a petition to be included in the plebiscite. Once the Bangsamoro core territory is established, President Duterte will appoint 80 people to the Bangsamoro Transition Authority or BTA. The BTA will serve as the interim government until the first elections are held in 2022. Bangsamoro elected and appointed officials as well as employees will be required to comply with their own code of ethics for public officials.
Tiwala kami na magiging matino yung pamumuno sa Bangsamoro government. First, hindi namin tinatago ito. Our commitment to our people is that we will eliminate corruption in the government.
5% of the country's customs and internal revenue tax collection, estimated at about 60 to 70 billion pesos a year, will be allocated to the Bangsamoro as some sort of a startup fund. It will also get a 50 billion peso fund spread over 10 years to finance rehabilitation of conflict-torn communities like building roads.
And joining us in this episode live in the studio, Marawi Civic Leader Samira Gutok and ARMM Assemblyman Zia Alonto Adyong. And joining us all the way from Cotabato City, we have Mayor Cynthia Giani Sayadi. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. So basically, as a general concept, it's being touted, the Bangsamoro Organic Law is being touted as that which will bring lasting peace and prosperity to Mindanao. And what does it mean for you guys? Let's start with Samira.
Well, as a woman, as a mother, importante po yung stopping the armed conflict. Malaking bagay po yung ceasefire. Kasi po you're talking about 40,000 fully armed men and women. At maibalik sa normal ang kanilang pamumuhay. We have the highest lowest HDIs, Human Development Index. Ruth there, infant mortality is at the highest. Women dying from pregnancy is at the highest. So, kung draconian ng poverty sa Pilipinas, mas mahirap tayo. So I hope that would be addressed by an incoming Bangsamoro formal government.
Well, I think it's a clear translation of the aspiration of the Bangsamoro people. Many of those issues have been tabled in the negotiating table for the past several years. Remember, this is not just a piece of legislation where Congress decided to enact. It's actually, it brought a lot of years of struggles and years of insurgency. It would substantially decrease the tension on the ground. Having the MILF not as a rebel, not as an organization that fight against the government, but even a partner of the government. And Mindanao, as we know it, has been a food basket of the Philippines. So it will actually generate the feeling of an actual inclusive growth. Mindanao in ARMM right now, for last year, there's an increase of our GDP for 15%. And in 2016, that's 11.5%. Given the fact that there's still an intermittent conflict in the area. Now, if you have the Bangsamoro setup, it would actually, it will actually bring about the feeling of security amongst the people. That the rebels who were used to fight the government are now partners of the government. So in terms of security and stabilization of peace and order, you do not actually earn peace. The most important question is how you actually maintain peace and order. And so Bangsamoro is not only to open up the peace and security in the area that would actually create an atmosphere conducive to economic growth, but it's actually a apparatus to maintain peace and stability in
because
the area.
they're actively part of the whole process. So that's siguro one of the biggest differences with yung existing ARMM. Kasi ang gusto kong itanong, may ARMM ka ngayon eh.
Yung policing aspect kasi, Ruth, sa ARMM law, kasi nga sa time drafter ng Bangsamoro Organic Law, you're going to have to program itong mga MILF forces na ibalik sila sa normal. May commitment silang pinirmahan that you're supposed to set up even a policing fund, disband the private armed groups, kasama sila sa monitoring even. So you're going to have to, as an MILF, commit to this, what you signed with the government.
Ano pang kinaiba niya?
Kasi kakasama na we used to work together during the 7th Assembly. No, in the current ARMM system, Republic Act 1954, the power of the Regional Assembly is very, very limited. Very restrictive, in fact. No? That's why up to now, I don't know if they're still continuing if they continuously do the tripartite review, OIC tripartite review with the MNLF and the OIC, Organization of Islamic Conference. So you cannot actually you cannot actually maximize the potential of the region. Well, if you compare that to the Bangsamoro Autonomous Regional Government, you would have automatically a share of the national, the BID, the internal
Malaking
revenue.
bagay po yun.
For the budget. The 5% of all the
National
taxes and revenue collected from customs and from the from other taxes is not it's not bad. It's actually a tremendous help to
compared
the region.
to the existing now, because you have just an
which in the current system that we have under the arm,
hinihingi sa
we cannot even prepare our own budget. We have to go through a lot of process and then submit, for example, our budget proposal, which is earmarked by DBM, and then submit that to Congress and then defend that before Congress and the Senate. So if DBM decides to give us 1 peso, we have to defend the 1 peso before Congress and Senate. In this case, automatically there will be a fiscal autonomy that the Parliament would decide how much would go to these services, how much would go to to education, so you have a closer administration, closer to the people, because the Parliament are actually the representatives of the people and they know kung saan dadalhin dapat ang pera, and not Congress and not Senate anymore.
and you have that block grant.
Yes.
And
malaking bagay din, Ruth, yung political dynasty issue. Kasi nga sabi nila, you just repeat political power of big clans. Hindi po eh. There's an automatic allocation of indigenous peoples. Yung natatakot na minorities, and mayor is on the other side, si Cynthia. I think she would appreciate the fact na may representasyon at dapat iakyat nga yung antas ng partisipasyon politically natin. Sophisticate the process by which we enter the COMELEC process. Kasi kung sinasabi na lang natin, awayin natin yung MI o kaya yung mga malalaking pamilya, you have to join the process and may automatic allocation ng kababaihan, may automatic allocation ng kabataan. So, may formalization ng mga partido na gustong sumama. At yun po, Ma'am Ruth, the way na rin to fight the collusion ng mga maliliking clans o kaya yung hindi masyado ngang nakakapartisipa yung mga maliliit.
Okay, yun na nga, pumunta tayo ngayon sa Cotabato City and let's listen to the statement naman of si Mayor Cynthia. Kasi ang Cotabato City is highly regarded daw as the crown jewel daw, if ever, of
the capital of ARM.
And yeah, it's not the capital of ARM. And
it's not part of ARM, but it's de facto, let's say, de facto administrative.
So, tanong natin si Mayor Cynthia, how do you view all this? Kasi recently lang din, you gave statements following yung attack lang nitong December dyan sa inyo, nagkaroon ng bomb attack dyan sa Cotabato City. So what do you make of yung creation of the Bangsamoro region, Mayor?
Yes, at the outset, I'd like to tell you that yung decision namin, decision ko specifically to support the no for inclusion of Cotabato City, hindi ko sariling desisyon ito. I consulted practically all the stakeholders of Cotabato City, lahat ho ng religious congregations, including po yung lahat ng sectors ng Cotabato City, because I do not want to decide alone. I want to get the feel kung anong gusto ng tao, kung ano yung hindi nila masabi dahil natatakot sila. I must know it dahil ako nga po yung kanilang mayor, and sa akin naman nasasabi nila kung ano yung nararamdaman nila. So, yes, so when I decided that to go all out for a no for inclusion, talagang masasabi ko that it is representative, no, ng kung ano yung pulso ng bayan. Hindi pa po napuputukan ang South Seas Mall, near the South Seas Mall, last December 31, nandun na yung tension nandun na yung fear because may mga MILF commanders na nananakot online, and aside from that, merong mga video na talagang sinabi nilang dadanak ang dugo sa Cotabato City kung hindi kami boboto ng yes. Because they are actually regarding this ball as something like, kung Muslim ka, you are mandated to support the ball because if not, you will be considered as a munafiq or a kufar, which is actually wrong because BOL law or the organic law is just a creation of Congress. So nagkakaroon siya ng parang misinterpretation doon sa baba, doon sa mga tao. And this is something that has to be explained to the people dahil nga nagiging simula or nagiging cause ng hindi pagkakaunawaan, no? And you see, while the Organic Act embodies a provision that there should be no discrimination insofar as religion is concerned, that is not actually what is happening in the ground. So, being the mayor of this place, I also have to listen to others, no? Hindi pwedeng isang sektor lang ang aking pakikinggan. More so may mga businessmen tayo, meron tayong mga kabataan, may mga iba't ibang religious congregations tayo na gusto nila talagang mag-participate for them to be heard, no?
Okay.
But then, dahil nga dito sa mga pananakot na ito, medyo nahahamper yung kanilang right, no?
Okay, we'll listen more to our guests. We'll continue this discussion after a break. On the record, we'll be right back. Welcome back to On the Record. Our topic, the Bangsamoro Plebiscite. It's going to happen on Monday. So tell us yung magiging scenario for the plebiscite.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
I was kasi the drafter on the provisions along the other committee members on transitory on voters ed. Importante po sa akin, Ruth, na alam ng mga tao kung ano isusulat kasi alam marami pong hindi literado, hindi sila marunong magsulat, kailangan pong assistance sila. So I'm calling on PPCRV and all the election monitors kasi nandun sa provision po na inintroduce natin, Ruth, sa BOL na batas, is citizens watchdogs should be able to monitor. Kasi a disenfranchised one voter sa akin po, Ruth, malaking bagay for a Marawi evacuee leader like I, kung hindi makapunta ang isang botante na quit dahil walang pera na =5 sa ballot box, disenfranchisement, and that would be negative.
Pero
yeah.
what's going to
I
happen?
think it's like a regular election. They will mobilize the COMELEC and they will coordinate with the LGUs, and they will actually again mobilize the teachers.
So it will
but
be
this
about
time,
voting for
yeah.
if you want ratification
Yeah,
and
if you want,
inclusion.
if you want. Yes, in the case of the armed territory, Marawi is part
Sasama
of
ka ba o
the...
hindi?
Oh, yeah, sasama ka ba? Gusto mo bang ma-replacean, no, ng RA 11 of 54 ang 1954. So, what's different in the case of this particular plebiscite, it's going to be a manual voting. No? It's not automation. So the challenge there is logistic. How would you transport election materials from one area to the other? So kasi kung compare mo sa mga local elections where we use the automation, it's mas matagal na yung 1 day sa municipal level, no? In this case, maybe we can expect a week of canvassing, no? Should there be any cases of, let's say, sana walang mangyari, no? Sana smooth nga ang election, we're expecting about within a week. So makikita
na malalaman
natin.
natin.
Malalaman natin ang pulso ng tao.
But aside from moving on after the plebiscite, you have another one on February 6, di ba?
the
Basically,
areas
the
or
same thing.
Now areas norte.
Non-armed areas.
So there's going to be two dates.
Yeah, 2 days.
Monday and the Feb 6.
So how is that going to be? The counting will be after na the Feb 6.
The COMELEC has jurisdiction kasi.
Yeah,
So they're going
I
to
think
have to,
I read somewhere in the report yesterday that I think it would depend on the outcome of the January 21 plebiscite. If the January 21 plebiscite, the vote is overwhelmingly yes, then they will proceed with February 6. If no, then they will stick to the status quo, meaning you don't need to replace the 1954.
Yes,
Yeah, kasi
the
no na nga ang
Bangsamoro
election. So it
Organic
would
Law.
depend on the outcome of January 21. Yung February 6 na the inclusion of 6 municipalities in Lanao del Norte and the 35 or 39 barangays in North Cotabato.
But your feel on the ground, kasi you mentioned na rin yung disenfranchisement and pag elections usually marred with violence. And kanina si Mayor was saying may mga threats na they should vote yes, di ba? Parang may banta na sa kanila. Anong sense nyo? Will the people be coming out and vote? And
Sa akin, Ruth, yes or no lang naman yan. Hindi yan about candidates.
Yeah,
So I
that's
think dahil kasama na yung MILF na supposedly mainstream na sila, pirmado na nila yung itong peace talk agreement, kaya tayo may BOL ngayon na plebisito, baka peaceful po. I think, Ruth, we have to trust that the institutional trust of the people sa MILF ay itutupad nila na they should be committing to peace.
But kasi
Sa
I think
plebisito.
in the case of Cotabato City as compared to other cities, no, in Marawi City, I think why Cotabato, one of the reasons why Cotabato City is very hot, no, in terms of the issue of BOL, it's because the current mayor is, categorically and publicly stated her opposition against the inclusion of her city to the BARM, as compared to Marawi City in other areas where you can see politicians actually posting big tarpaulins saying yes, support the BOL. So that's one of the reasons. No? As far as the local political dynamics is concerned, it's correct. No? Sabi nga ni Kakasam, let's not focus our vote based on the political personalities of whoever actually espouses either no or yes. We should concentrate our vote and base our choice on the law itself, no? Hindi dun sa personalities behind those who are campaigning against or pro.
si Mayor Cynthia, balikan natin sa Cotabato City. Mayor, yung binanggit nyo nga, you are actively campaigning na no to inclusion, pero even the Catholic leaders there are saying, and the MILF are positive na majority daw will vote for inclusion in BARM.
They are entitled to their own opinion, no? Pero kasi ako, talagang in touch ako with the people sa ground, no? So, each time naman na nakakausap ko, actually, malalaman ito pagdating ng January 21, no? We will actually know kung sino ba talaga ang nagsasabi ng totoo, kung sabi nga nila, mapuprove natin yung claim ng bawat isa sa election or plebiscite day mismo. But I just would like to tell you that this stand of mine is not just mine. This is actually the stand of the people we consulted.
Mayor, outside of the threats na sinabi nyo nga may mga banta, 'di ba, dyan sa Cotabato City, but outside of the threats, why don't you want to be included in the Bangsamoro region?
Yes, alam mo, yung pag sinabi mo kasi yung batas, that's one thing, no? Pero pag sinabi mo yung tinatawag na credibility, that is another thing. How credible yun bang mga proponents o yung mga sumusuporta doon in bringing about peace, progress, and prosperity to Cotabato City? That is actually the question here, no? If they cannot even control their people, yung mga tao na nanghaharas ng mga Cotabateño, how can you say that you can bring about peace? This is actually the question of Cotabateños now.
Okay, so let's ask our proponents here. How would you respond to that question posed by Mayor na yung credibility daw of the proponents, the MILF, and the other politicians who are
Well, kasi the
pushing
healing
for it?
process hasn't started naman eh. Wala pa naman transitional justice, hindi pa naman nagkakaroon talaga ng formal process by which nagsasorry ng bawat isa sa isa. You need to undergo a political process by which you can get the trust nga and implement a structure. So, dadaanan yan na proseso.
Well, I think on the issue of proponent, it's not only the MILF who is pushing for the BARM. It's actually this administration and the administration previous to this administration. And let's go back to again what transpired the enactment of Bangsamoro. It's actually actually came through a lot of processes. It started during President Ramos. So it's a commitment of this government. It's a commitment of the Philippine government, not only as a promise to the Bangsamoro people, but it is a commitment of this government to the international community. You have their international contact groups. You have the international monitoring team, who is actually in charge. Turkey is in charge of the international decommissioning body. So we will lose our respect, the standing of the Philippines in the international community if we cannot even act on the promises that we gave to the people. So it's not only MILF that is pushing here. The BTC, Kakasam, used to be a member of the BTC. So it's actually a multi-sectoral representation who are actually pushing for the enactment of the Bangsamoro Organic Law.
Okay, we'll talk more about that. We're taking another break. This is On the Record. Stay with us on CNN Philippines. Welcome back to On the Record. We take you back to Cotabato City with Mayor Cynthia. Mayor Cynthia, yung last words na lang natin on our last gap, no, yung message nyo na lang sa inyong mga kababayan for the plebiscite on Monday.
Yes, commitment according to them is one thing. But reality is different from perception. Ang nangyayari dito sa Cotabato City is reality. My people are abused. We have been filing protests before the CCCH and it has remained unacted. So many crimes are happening in Cotabato City, perpetrated by people identified with the MILF, and no action has been taken by the hierarchy. My question is, you may be committed to bring about peace and order to Cotabato City, but how can you do that if you cannot even control your people? Mine is just a concern for my people. I would like to call on all Cotabateños to come out, vote on January 21, exercise your right. Tell the people, show the world that this is our place and nobody can dictate to us what will happen to Cotabato City.
Okay, thank you very much to Mayor Cynthia. We take you back here to the studio with our guests. Yun na lang, for you guys, kasi kami, nandito kami sa Metro Manila, medyo malayo kami dyan sa Mindanao. Pero why would, people from Metro Manila care about this issue sa Mindanao? What will it mean for the whole country?
Yung hindi taga roon, sana maka-experience na makabisita sila doon sa mga airports at sa mga marshlands, Lake Lanao, the most beautiful lake in one of the most beautiful in the world. So importante ay tuldukan na ang away dahil kailangan na ng turismo, investment, kailangan po ng friendship that has to be fostered by Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Kailangan pong dumarating na sila sa atin, Zia, because Cotabato is the seat at napakaraming ng mga malls doon. Napakaraming ng goodwill doon eh. It's the seat kasi of government.
Well, I think it's an opportunity for the non-Muslims, non-armed residents to understand how we value historical antecedents. It's actually an opportunity for the non-residents of ARM to see things in our own optics. There's a brewing, sabi ko nga, there's a brewing militant feeling of militancy among the youth. Look what happened in Marawi City. Now, if we having the BARM and the MILF being partner of the government, it would substantially reduce, sabi ko nga, the tension on the ground. And that would also include showing that this government is really sincere in providing all the services that are required for the region the most poorest region in the country, to really elevate itself, no? And I think let me go back to inclusive growth, no? It's an opportunity actually. You cannot say Philippines is, Philippines is beautiful. If you look at in Manila only, Philippines would be beautiful if all areas in the country are growing equally, being productive. So I think this is a good opportunity, and that's why the non-residents of ARM should also look at this as a inclusive growth of the country.
Okay. Thank you very much to our guests for tonight. And that's On the Record this week. Thanks for watching. I'm Ruth Cabal.